Do you ever question Jesus? Hi, I'm Mike Henry Sr. with Follower of One. Thanks for joining me again today on the Follower of One podcast. Today our passage is in John chapter 11, verse 8, and I'm reading from the English Standard Version of the Bible. It says, "The disciples said to him, 'Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and are you going there again?'" That's John 11:8 from the ESV. Just in the verse before, he suggested that they go back to Judea. That's the there that he's talking about. In Judea, at the end of John chapter 10, they tried twice to stone Jesus. They didn't like what he was saying, and they thought he was committing heresy, and they were going to stone him. And they left. Jesus and the disciples left. But now Lazarus is dying, and he's back in Judea. And so Jesus is now suggesting that they're going back to Judea to do what Jesus ends up doing with Lazarus, healing him, raising him from the dead. But I think it's interesting for us to consider today, what do we do when Jesus challenges us or gives us what sounds like a crazy or a dangerous idea? Does Jesus ever do that to you? He does it to me, and I confess that I tell him no more often than I wish. I really wish I was quicker to tell him yes and to do what he said, because I don't know what I miss. We were in a conversation in my church recently where we talked about how it's okay to doubt. It's in reality, all things are okay because Jesus died for my sins. But when I doubt Jesus and choose not to follow him, I miss out on things. I must. And therefore, I want to be on me. I want to lean on myself to push me more to doing those things that those ideas that Jesus gives me. I want to challenge myself to walk into his calling. I want to challenge myself to do what he says. And so I think for us, we have a challenge today. Is Jesus telling you to do something that sounds a little challenging or a little edgy? My favorite old Mario Andretti quote was, "If you're not a little afraid, you're not going fast enough." Mario was a race car driver. I think if we're not a little nervous and a little afraid, we're not following Jesus closely enough. And I want to challenge us as believers. If you've been given an idea or you're considering an idea that seems just a little crazy, I have two suggestions for us, and these are our challenge today. Consider it against Scripture. Is it possible that I could be wrong in light of Scripture and what the Bible teaches? And then the second idea would be to just do a trial balloon. Try something. Make one step in that direction. Try something small. Give away some money or do something, invest in something that would move you one peg along that line and see what happens. One step at a time, we can follow Jesus. We can do those things one idea at a time. You may need to get some friends to give you some feedback. You may want to challenge your own assumptions and consider what the alternatives are. But I believe if we can take a little action to follow Jesus, then we will either receive some confirmation to keep going, or we will receive a check in our spirit to slow us down. Ask your friends to help you in this. But I want to challenge us today. Are we listening to Jesus when he tells us things that sound just a little crazy? I want to be quick to follow him. What about you? Do you want to be quick to follow him too? Let's commit to following Jesus as closely as we can today. Remember, check it against Scripture. Check with some of your friends, and then run a trial balloon. Do a small step and see what God does. Success isn't always guaranteed. Maybe that's a discussion for another podcast. But let's try to follow him more closely and then let him explain that to us as we go. Thank you for being a Marketplace Christian. And thank you for considering how even the scary, difficult things may be part of what Jesus has for you today. Ask him what he would have you do, and then let's find a way to do it. Thanks very much.